Hey Carter. So thanks for having your dad send these to me. I'm happy to help in any way I can. I want to preface this with where you're at today is perfect. I wish I would have had a swing this good at your age. So everything we do moving forward is refining, strengthening, retooling, and growing. So nothing is incorrect with where you're at today. I just want to look at, okay, well, how can we get this better and better and stronger and stronger? So to start, the only thing, your setup looks phenomenal. The only thing I might want to tweak, and this will come into play when we move into impact, is if you notice here, my left arm through my left elbow, through my left wrist, is sort of in a straight line. And what that does is it allows my wrist joint to be in a strong position here. Not strong like golf strong, but just in alignment. So what I see here, the only little tweak is I've got you, a little bit this way and then a little bit this way with the shaft. So we'll tweak that left wrist a little bit. I'll show you in the second half. I'm going to get on camera and talk more about, the stuff I discussed in this first part. But that first little bit, so just a, little bit of the hands forward, real simple. But that's the only thing. You look really centered, really balanced, really athletic. So what we're going to focus on today is how you wind up to create leverage, and then how that leverage is going to allow you to strike the ball with more strength and compress it a little differently. Because everything in your pattern is more geared toward, a higher ball flight, which is great, and it's not incorrect, but I want to show you how to compress it a little differently. So you're centered, you're balanced, you're athletic. I'm going to roll this up to the top. Okay. So now we're up top. Now notice your left ear, your head kind of raised, and your left ear moved off the ball. So your center of gravity, when I say your center of gravity, I mean your sternum, your belt buckle, just kind of the middle of your body. We want to wind up and stay centered as much as possible. Too much movement off the ball, now your peripheral vision is kind of looking out of the corner of your eyes. So I'd like to wind you up a little more centered, and I'll talk more about this because this will be the key to you creating more strength in your golf swing. So watch this. You notice where my left ear was at setup and where my left ear is now at the top of the backswing. Okay, so more centered, kind of coiling around your spine a little differently. So you can see that my back is fairly flat there. My right hip has gone back. And so everything for me is tilted a little bit this way, because I'm going to attack this thing more in this direction, where your pelvis is a little reversed and a little bit too level. Okay, so you can't quite get the angle of attack going in this direction because things are a little bit level. And I'll show you more from the down the line view of how this works. So I'll give you some simple drills on how to load this up, how to feel strong, how to wind up like the greats, and then we'll be on our way. So from here, I'm starting to see that you guys are working on this left shoulder, and Chris talked to me a little bit about what you guys are working on. attacking the ball a little differently. And so if we want to attack the ball better, we've got to wind up better. Because the wind up is how we create the leverage so that we can deliver the club a certain way. So I'm noticing, I'm going to put a dot here on your left shoulder. So you've got that going for you. This is moving down. So I like that. If your pelvis, where we're going to put your pelvis and your right rib, is just going to help this grow even more. Okay? So my shoulder here starts to move down in this direction. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get level at the bottom of the arc. So I need my center of gravity, which you noticed before was my sternum. So the button's on my shirt. I need my center at the bottom or the low point of the arc. And so the low point of the arc is going to vary. And it's going to vary based on the club you're hitting. It's going to vary based on your ball position. Now in this instance, I've got the ball a little bit back. And then I'm hitting a 9-iron. So the bottom of my swing arc with a 9-iron is the deepest part of the divot. So watch this here. Boom, boom. So you see where that club hit the ground? Was right where that second arrow is pointing. Okay? So pretty good. But notice that when you're level, your sternum is not quite to the bottom of the arc. But this will all change with a better wind-up and a better backswing. Okay? So really good. Okay, so now I want to pull in another swing here. Just to help illustrate. Now this is a guy named Mac O'Grady, so Chris can tell you Mac O'Grady stories. I want you to notice, I talked about how we wind this right hip and this right rib, how we wind this up while staying centered. Okay, so I'm going to kind of point out where his center is. Okay, so now notice how much his pelvis and his ribs are ready to attack down into this golf ball. So all he's doing is loading up leverage so that he can move down into it. Okay, now watch. He's already starting to go down after it. So because he's in this situation here, his hands get more of a direct path to the golf ball. So the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line kind of thing. And now notice how late in his golf swing the right side still higher than the left. Okay, now he's leveled out. But let's look at where his center is now. It's right there. So now from here, watch this. When the arms straighten, they straighten to the low point of the divot. He strikes the ball. Boom. Now he's at the bottom of the divot. So by getting you wound up a little better, we're going to get you attacking the ball a lot stronger. So get ready. Okay, so now let's look at sorry, I got to thumb through a lot of people here. Okay, so let's look at down the line. And then, let's see. Sorry, I got to move some stuff around. Okay. So now down the line. Couple things we'll look at. Shaft plane. Now your camera moves here a little bit, so it's not going to be exact. But you'll get the idea. And then I want to draw a line on where this right glute is. Okay, so now watch this. As I take the club back to the top, notice that I've loaded back into this right hip, back into this right glute, and remember from the face-on view, I've got things angled in this direction. Because I'm going to attack this golf ball. Okay? Now this camera will move a little bit, but notice that your right glute and your pelvis is much more level. And it never quite loaded into this right leg, this right hip, and this right rib the way you're going to. And so I want to talk about why this is important now. Coming down, you do a good job of getting strong again. But I want to mention one other thing that we'll focus on, okay? So notice here that my golf club is between my arms. So what I've done there is I've gotten underneath the golf club. I've got it leveraged, and I've got it in balance with my arms. Your golf club, I'd like to see more loaded between your arms, because what happens is if it gets outside your arms, it's going to cause the club to flip through impact. So you can't quite compress it properly. But I'll show you more of that in the second part. So now, what happens is because you haven't loaded back into your right hip in the backswing and your pelvis is level, you kind of go straight down, you compress, which is nice, it's really good. But then the compression that you see here in your stomach is going to start to pop out right here. Notice the pelvis is already thrusting in this direction pre-impact. And what that causes is you get closer to the golf ball. And because you get closer to the golf ball, your shaft plane is raising. So that's something that's good if you want to hit it higher, more up in the air, but what I want to get you to do is get down into the ground and compress this thing. Start to have some strength in these hands and arms. So now watch. I'm still back, I'm still back, I'm still back on that line, I'm still back on that line. Notice the shaft plane. My glutes are back of where they were at setup, so then when my arms straighten, the shaft is on the same plane it was at setup. And you'll notice that because I'm back, I'm more bent over still, where you're more straight up and down, which is more inducive to hitting something really high, or what we'd see more in like a driver. So now, causes the club to roll a little bit, where you'll see as we get you stronger into the ground, notice my divot, the hands can go low left, the pelvis hasn't extended yet, it's down and through, and now the pelvis starts to go up. So some things for you guys to look at. The second part is going to be some drills, some ways to train this, some ways to feel this, and it'll be really simple. So I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for watching this part, and I look forward to part 2.